Nobody takes your sweater.
I know, it's very strange.
They're week after week.
Every once in a while I miss it at home.
Yeah, it's like you go to get it, it's like, oh, I know where it is.
But I have to throw the sweaters. Going through a phase.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, it is 5:30 in beautiful Fountain Hills, so let's call this meeting to order. First order is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda.
I move the agenda.
Is there
I
a second?
I
Yes,
second.
oh, okay, thank you. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. All right. So the next thing is to make a motion to go into executive session. And I'll make that motion that we move into executive session. Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move.
Okay.
Okay, we live? Okay, so we need a vote to reconvene. I will make that motion to reconvene.
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, we're reconvened into regular session for the moment. So upon the advice of our attorney, since we have three separate items for executive session, we need to adjourn for each individual one. So I will make the motion that we adjourn for our next executive session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, one more time. Okay, we're temporarily back. Okay, a motion to reconvene for a short time?
I so move.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, we're reconvened, only to go back into executive session. Can I have a motion to go back into executive session for our third item?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Bernie.
Only got in on a second.
Okay, all right, I'll move that we reconvene into regular session. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're back in regular session, and that means we're up to public comments. Do we have any? No? Okay, so then on to information and discussion items, starting with budget reductions. I presume, Dr. J, you're going to be presenting this?
Yeah, President Rakowski, members of the board, yes. I'm here to answer further questions, help lead the discussion. We have the vast majority of reductions coming from attrition. You will see in your next board report, Wednesday, we have some resignations. Some of those are retirements and some are resigning for various reasons. We do have quite a few that are taking on different opportunities like moving to places, lots of different reasons for those. But we're still keeping with the same breakdown of reductions, so 6 positions at McDowell Mountain, which would be kindergarten, reducing by 1 section, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 1 reduction between 4th and 5th combined, because they have a little higher enrollment at those grade levels. And then at the middle school, it would be a reduction of a PE position, but actually between the middle school and high school, because they're kind of shared right now, one PE position, and we have another elective position, which would be Spanish at the middle school, and a 0.5 of art, which that teacher is retiring again for I think the 3rd time. We're very proud of her for helping us out. So that one's a little easier. So just to be fair to say that Val is, let me go back to the middle school for the elementary for a minute. Val's working on a schedule to try to reduce the effect of these reductions on class size, and we feel pretty confident we can make that happen, where the class size will be pretty normal in comparison to districts around us. We may have to do things a little bit differently, but that's not always a bad thing. You know, when we went to the trimester schedule 2 years ago at the high school, there was a lot of uncertainty about that. And, you know, I'm sure there's always going to be opinions for and against any change that you do. But I can just say that overwhelmingly, it's been very popular with the kids, the parents. I've had no concerns with it. Our achievement has stayed the same, if not gotten better in certain areas. And our graduation rate has gone up, more class offerings. So sometimes through adversity, good things happen. And that's what we're hoping here, is to kind of have a positive spin on it. Is, yes, the elementary may be reducing, but there's ways you can use time and scheduling to make the impact felt a lot less. We're still looking at keeping 3 specials there, so that doesn't change. It would just be that class size may not be, 18 all day. It might be closer to 24, 25, maybe in some older grades in the high 20s, but again, that's pretty normal. I think when you start getting in the low 30s, you have some concerns there, especially in 4th and 5th, but nothing that I don't think we can hopefully overcome. So Val's been working on that. At the middle school, these are very smaller changes. We had, to start the year, we had 49 kids sign up for Spanish. So when you look at 5 sections of that, it was about, somewhere around 8 per class. So it's a pretty small number. We would allow middle school kids to take high school Spanish so they can get their credit done in middle school, their accelerated track, and go into high school with 1 Spanish credit already done, which will allow them to get to Spanish 4, or have some freedom in their schedule to do some other things. So middle school kids would still get that opportunity. And at the high school, it's a reduction of 6 positions, which is you have a reduction in science by 1. English would be actually 2 because of a retirement. One is retiring. And then math would go from 4 to 3. So we kept 1 extra math just because they have so many different math sections to teach. And we did want to ensure that there's not a huge disruption to some of the things they've been doing for years and years and years there. Social studies would move from 3 to 2. And with the trimester and some, again, using time as a resource, Mrs. Pinto feels very strongly she can get those numbers with the addition of FHU classes and the trimester, we believe we can get those classes to an appropriate level. So English, math, science, and social studies, and then the one reduction actually that goes with the high school is the PE. That would be a move. One person would need to move to the elementary school to take on PE over there, but they'd have a position. And what was the other one? Oh, band. We're not going to replace that position. We have George is stepping up and is going to do that as one of his 4 sections a day. So that will keep us from having to hire the band teacher again. At least for, he's going to give it a year, see how it goes. But he's been very dedicated to the band and doing really good work. And I know we have lots of helpers in the town that are willing to come in and help out a little bit. So that'll help us with that as well. And yeah, because there's 2 in English. That's why we were able to reduce it down to 6. Okay? So that's where the cuts are.
Okay, well, I appreciate your diligence and that other principals in doing that, and there may be another music person, which I mentioned to you.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully that'll transpire for free, actually. Any other comments or questions?
I too just want to say thank you for the creativity with some of these difficult decisions, and I'm proud of the way you've approached it and trying to minimize the tough cuts. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm going to add in that thank you as well, and thank you to the committee that I know worked hard on this, and the principals that are working hard on this as well. I do have one question.
Sure.
At the high school, so you gave kind of like a class size estimate for the elementary school.
Yeah.
And I know the middle school, it's probably not much change.
No.
At the high school, do we have kind of a guesstimate of?
I can walk you through that. So let me go back to the middle school for a minute. Theirs, we'll say relatively similar, but the 8th grade class has grown, pretty large over the year. We've actually gotten a lot of kids back, which has been great. I mean, in the whole, overview of it, it's not a huge number, but it definitely helps. Every little bit helps. So they're going to be sending about 100 kids up to 9th grade. I'll guess that that senior or that class will graduate with about 125 students is my guess over time, because they'll pick up kids along the way. The bad news is they're being replaced by like 60 something that are coming up. So Kim will grow that to 100 in the next 3 years. So the middle school will actually have a little bit smaller numbers with the same relative staff, so they'll get a little relief. At the high school, I'll give you a quick example. I'll use social studies since that's my background. Going to 2 staff members, you have to look at, they each teach 4 sections every term, so they teach 12 sections a year. Times 2 is 24 sections that you have to work with if you don't use anybody else but those 2 teachers. Then you have to look at, you have three required social studies courses: world history, US history, and then government econ is 1 year divided into 2 semesters. So you have 3 full year courses that need to be taken during that time. So you can basically look at it as, be 3/4 of the school needs to take social studies at a time. So when you factor that in, Barry and I actually just did these numbers this morning. I don't have my notes in front of me, but you have about 200 and some students will need to take social studies. And if you divide that out, I'm going to give you just some, don't hold me to it, but if I take 254 kids, that number seems in my head for some reason, and I divide that out by 30 students, that's 8.5 sections to get it to 30. So if I go to 27 or something like that, it gets you to, roughly 8 sections. So if I get to 8 sections, I got to teach those twice. So that'll get you 16 total sections that you need. If I do 27, actually 27 goes the other way, I'm sorry, it's late, long day. So I get you to 9 sections. So say if you go to 27, you have 9 and 9, you have 18 sections, they have 24 to work with. So they should be able to make it work. Then you factor in, kids are gonna take FHU, world history, US history, and Gov and Econ. So that takes off maybe 50 kids out of that 254. So that reduces your sections down back to like 8 and 8, and that's 16, and you have plenty of room for other courses and electives and things like that. So we feel pretty confident they can make that work. We are gonna start allowing sophomores to take FHU next year. One of the things we've seen with that, as popular as it's been, is that when you wait to have the seniors do 2, 2, and 2, a lot of them are not really in any classes anymore. They're kind of doing FHU almost all day, and we want to avoid that. So we're going to start allowing the sophomores to take 3, the juniors to take 3, and the seniors to take 4. That still gets you to that number, and we'll let the seniors take the 4th one on their own after they've successfully completed 27 credit hours. We feel like they can handle it on their own by that point. So that'll reduce the number of seniors in FHU courses their senior year and spread it out a little bit more evenly throughout time. English 1 and 102 is one of our most popular courses, so that will impact the number of kids taking English 12. So you may only need now for English 12 a section of AP English 12, a regular section of English 12, and an FHU section of English 12. And since anyone can teach the FHU section, we try to put it with an English teacher. Barry feels like we can get there. English will be the tightest of the subjects to make work, but we do have a couple of teachers that do have English on their certificate. They may not know we know, but we know. And I'm just joking. We would always talk to them first and make sure they're good with it. And you could do a 6/5, we call those extra teaching periods, ETPs. And, by trimester, it's about $3,000 on our M&O budget to pick up an extra class. If they do all 3, somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000. So you could have a teacher say, an English teacher say, I'll pick up an extra section on my prep to make this schedule work for Mrs. Pinto. But I think we can get there. Okay?
Anyone else? No? Okay. Then let's move on to next item, maintenance and operations override.
So I just want to clarify with the community that I had some information that is I received that I wasn't completely accurate, so I want to just correct that. So I was under the impression for a long time that we had the possibility of going in 25 or again in 26 to renew our override. And that's what has been in my head for the last couple of years. When I saw a budgeting worksheet that was being done, the override was on there as being up next year. And so I checked with our representatives at the county and with our additional people that help us with finance, and it was shared with me that it was up in 20, we had to go for it in 25 without having a reduction in budgeting. So when I set up the meeting to create the resolution, turned out that my original thought was correct, and we do have 2 years to do that. So I apologize if that caused any confusion. I just was not given the correct information from my sources. However, just to make sure everyone understands, I double and triple check everything before finalizing anything to make sure that it is correct. And so we have the opportunity to go in November of 25 a year early. If it did not pass in 25, you could go again in 26. You could wait and go in 26, but that would be if it doesn't pass, immediate loss of funding the following year. The funding is divided up into the first year you would lose 1/3. It phases down of your override 15%, which is about 1.3. It was actually $1.305 million. And you would lose 1/3 of that in 27, 28, and then you would lose the other 800 and whatever's left, the other 2/3 would come out the following year. So it'd be a 2-year phase down, but we are clear to continue to get funding this coming year and the following year. And it would phase out 3 years down the line. Okay? So that has been clarified. I got it in writing for you, and you got an email about that from Randy Stein, who is our managing director with Stiefel. She handles our elections, and so, like I said, I was under that impression, and I just got thrown a little curveball with that budgeting meeting where it said it was a year early, and when I double checked with people, they confirmed it was, that we really need to go next year, and it turned out to be false. So I apologize for that, but that's why we double check things.
It's a good thing, yeah. So that will be an action item for us to decide how to proceed on this Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, so I'll answer any questions you have about override.
So,
I think it's the 19th, Dr.
19th?
McCusker. Yeah, I think we
Okay,
gave you
I
guys a
stand
couple
well,
weeks.
the decision wouldn't need to be made until sometime in April, right? Like, that's the cutoff?
Well, what you have a couple of options. So one would be to vote if you want to go in 25, or to table and wait till 26. You have a couple of options. If we're going to go in November of 25, we need to have that into the state by May, and time does move quickly, so we would want to know for sure if we're going in 25.
I guess I just have a couple questions. Are you recommending that we go in 25, and what would be the benefit of going this year instead of waiting until next year when it's needed?
I think there's pluses and minuses to both in recommending either or. Right now, I think, we've got a lot of work has been done over the last few years to, I believe, show the community the work we've done, the achievement growth from C's to A's, and the model schools, the retention in staff, the culture and climate on campuses. The audit has gotten better every year since we got here, and we expect it to. You'll be getting that soon. We expect that to be better from last year over. It just keeps getting better. So I think there's a lot of positives right now with the school district. A year from now, I don't know what that will hold. I don't know where things will line up. I think there's some voter fatigue right now. I think that's a fact. We've done 2 elections in 3 years, so I think that's something that's out there. There's a cost to 25, so you would have to pay the full amount to put on the election, where in 26 it's a midterm election, so we would be able to do that with the town, and that's only roughly I think it's under 5,000. I think it's a pretty small number if we go with the town. If the town decides in 25 to do something that we could partner with them on, then it reduces the cost. But in 26 you have the midterms already, so that's a guarantee. So those are some of the things to consider. I think the other thing is if you go in 25 and it doesn't pass, you have 26, you got another shot at it. If you go in 26 and it doesn't pass, you could go in 27, you're just going to be 450,000 less budget.
Yeah, and I'm just, speaking for me right now, but my recommendation or opinion would absolutely be to wait until next year and to continue this good work that we're doing and all the things that you're doing, and show the community the ways that we're being responsible and making the cuts that we need to before we ask them to continue the loan. And especially with the fact that we'd have to pay an increased price to run an election this year, I think that's another just a good feeling to put out for the community, where we say, we're going to wait until an on year to spend less money and be fiscally responsible. And then I think with all the work that we've been doing and all the work that you've been doing to save money here, save money there, budget correctly and be more transparent with all of that, in a year you could go to the community and say, okay, we're facing making these big cuts that would really not work for us, and this is all the things that we've done. These are the changes we've made. Now we need a loan. We need this to continue going, and I think that would go a long way with the community.
Okay.
Those are just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
And just, I do believe if you one of the concerns I've actually had from a couple of students is what will happen, like, will I be able to graduate? And so what we're saying to the students is, if we're gonna continue to work hard for you always, even if it didn't pass in 26, the first year being a 1/3 reduction, you'd be able to take that out of reserves and continue doing the work you're doing, and possibly the second year as well, to give kids an opportunity to, to make decisions if you did have to close a school down the road in a few years. That's part of why you want that reserve money, is to be able to do some of those things. So I think that helps a little bit with like having a 3 to 4 year plan.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you looking ahead, and I think that as we build the community, or the relationships with the community, we can continue to put out there that this is where the opportunities lie, and hopefully not have to face more budget reductions. Hopefully we can grow our budget by growing enrollment.
And the only other thing I would add is that it doesn't feel good to me that we would be making budget cuts and then spending $40K, $50K,
Sure.
a teacher's salary
Yeah.
on an election.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have a lot of options there, and, I mean, if I had to recommend to you what I think is best, is I think waiting is probably best, for the fact that, again, saving money, number one, and two, I think there's some voter fatigue right now, and I think giving us some time to continue to build and work is not a bad idea. I just want to say that with the caveat that, if it's not successful, we have to understand the consequences of it. Is an immediate impact, and you got to remember, just thinking ahead, it's going to be like say $50,000, something like that. But if the enrollment drops over the next 2 years another 100, that's another 500. So now you're looking at about a $900,000 shift over 2 years. So that declining enrollment figure every year just multiplies the problem. So I just want to be clear that could be a real tough year if it did not pass. That's all I want to be, so it was clear that we knew that.
Bernie?
The only thing I'd like to add is that we just need to keep it not in the back of our mind, but in front, that we're looking to the future, and we need to develop a strategy along the way and not wait till the last minute. That's all.
Yeah, and one thing, especially if there was any interest in trying to do it this year, which I again would be against, but I think when we do approach those things, maybe something like the town halls, including something like this, but maybe a more casual setting where community members can share their feelings, kind of a way to gauge where it's going and to clarify and clear up the misconceptions that happened around it. I think that would be really helpful, especially when you can get people in front of you and you can make a plea for not only what we're doing, what we've done, but what we're trying to continue and ask them to partner on it. I think that would go a long way if they feel more a part of it.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments? Okay, if not, move on. Future actions. So we have pending future action club policies, ESA voucher, students in sports, and student outcomes such as report cards and proficiency data. Although I think our next couple meetings are very filled with other more timely issues. Dates of upcoming meetings, March 5th, so in 2 days we'll be back here again, and March 19th, both at 6 p.m. right here. And I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you guys for making time for this.
My kids' baseball game. I will see you guys Wednesday.
Bye.